Good, okay.
I'm good to go.
All right, I will call the meeting to order at 1:32 on, this is the wrong one, March 5th. Roll call, Carl Kaminsky,
Present.
Mike Shorten,
Here.
Gloria Van Hoff,
Here.
and I'm here, Teresa Meshes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 6th meeting? Mike makes it, Gloria seconds it. Any comments?
No, but do we have enough for a quorum?
Four, we only need four,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because what's our total number?
We have 7 members, and so we need 4 because that's more than half.
Okay, so the majority.
It is, yes. All right, so all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Oh, yeah.
We do not have any public comments.
It's coconut, and the other one is carrot.
Any members' comments?
Well, I just want to say it was really nice to read that Valley High is getting all kinds of honors again. I saw it on LinkedIn, I saw it a couple of other places, like on the site here, and so congratulations.
Thank you,
Well done.
thank you. You're referring to the top workplaces one? Yeah, okay, I wasn't sure.
We do have many accolades.
No,
Lots of accolades.
sometimes it's like I didn't even know about it, so, no, but I appreciate that, thank you.
That was good. It was a nice article in the paper and everything, so I think it's really good for people to see that and be proud of that, because not all, as you know, nursing homes have those honors.
No, I do appreciate that, thank you.
All right, with that, we will move to the Valley High Administrator Report.
All right, I'm gonna spend most of the time talking about memory care, kind of where we're at, and a cyber attack on one of our billing clearinghouses, and I'll push those to the back of the report. And I'll just real quickly go over a few things. Census-wise, in the building right now, we have about 74 residents, and we're running pretty tight. We've been running really tight for a little while now, which is good. Just want to mention to you all kind of some of the things that are going on in long-term care as a whole, because the world of long-term care has gotten a little bit ominous. One of the largest nursing home providers in the state of Illinois has filed for bankruptcy and have placed over 20 buildings in receivership, which means that they are no longer operating them. There's a local nursing home, and I'm not going to share names, that has filed for bankruptcy and is in receivership, and it's happening all over the place. What's going on is that all of the COVID money's dried up, and any building that was not in good footing going into COVID is now reaping just the negative fallout now that the money's gone and there's nothing more coming in. Staffing is still a problem in a lot of places, although I'll share with you in a minute where we're at. And it's getting tough out there. One of the few things that we are basically in very, very limited company with, besides the fact that we're probably the most stable county-owned nursing home in the country, but we're still sitting on very solid footing. So for us, we're not experiencing that same level of concern or pain, but a lot of our peers are. We received a distress call from another county nursing home earlier last week, asking for things such as, and they put it up on their website, but they're asking for the public to help donate floor cleaner. Stuff to survive from day to day, and they're in a real bad place. I have reached out to them to see where we might be able to offer some assistance. I have not received a call back from their administrator, but I did talk to their business office, and it does sound like they're in a world of trouble, and if we want to talk offline who that is, I'll share that with you, but I like to kind of keep the names out of the public domain. So I guess basically all that to say that Valley High still continues to remain very, very strong in the market, as well as our referral base, so things are looking pretty good. Staffing-wise, we are really closing all of those gaps, and in fact, right now, we only have 3 open nursing positions that we need to fill. I figured out what was wrong with the chart. And so when you look at the staffing chart, you're going to see that there are I deleted all of the numbers going out into the past. So what we were doing was we were using the roster, the full employee roster, to fill that chart out. And there was a change in the person that was helping me gather the numbers, and what she did is she started looking at what do we actually need based off of the schedules, which don't match, right? Our roster has far more positions than we actually need filled based on the ebbs and flows of the census and long-term care. So we have open positions that we're not looking to fill at the moment, so we took them off the report, so that the report reflects accurately what do we need to fill all of the open available shifts as we are staffed today. And so that's where we're at. We have 3 positions that are left. We've closed the rest of the gaps. We've really started to draw down our use on supplemental staffing. The month of March is going to be great, just from the standpoint of everybody's on spring break and all the college kids. This is the first time in the 14 years that I've been with the county that we are telling college kids we don't have shifts for them, because there's so many kids wanting to come back and work and cover the spring breaks that are coming for the long, the permanent staff. We don't have any worries about getting them the time that they're looking for. It's just one of those rare things. So staffing has really done a dramatic turnaround for us. The recruitment and retention plan has a lot to do with that. We are still pushing that real hard, and there's some other things that we're looking to do this spring. We're going to really try to enhance our digital presence for recruitment and retention, and also for recruitment of residents as well. But we're going to be doing some stuff where we're going to do testimonials with staff and do some videoing in here and put them out on our socials and whatnot. The younger staff, that's where we're drawing them in from, is from Instagram and some of the social media sites. And the little videos that we've been posting that generate the buzz and the energy is what they're responding to, not the ads. So we're gonna continue that kind of parallel track from what would be traditional, and see if that continues to keep everything nice and locked in. So those 2 things, high census and getting our staffing under control, is going to go a long way in getting our financials stabilized as well. So, satisfaction surveys. So we just closed the staff satisfaction surveys and the long-term resident satisfaction surveys at the end of March.
Excuse me, is there another copy
Yep.
of? Anything else?
Nope, that was it, just unless you want
Just the
the,
agenda?
yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll have those for you guys next month, a breakdown. We had 101 employees respond to the employee engagement survey, which is the most we've ever had. So we definitely have an engaged staff. One of the few things that really kind of, it doesn't get a lot of airplay, but Brittany held a nursing meeting, which would have been her first big meeting since taking over as DON, and she had like 60 people show up out of the nursing department. That's unheard of. We usually get 20. So we're starting to see the culture turn. There's definitely, I don't know that the scores in the survey necessarily reflect some of the changes we're seeing, but that is because the changes are going to be post the survey. But you'll get a feel for where we're going. We'll talk a little bit about this in 2 weeks at QA, and then I'll bring it to you guys at your next meeting. So let's do, any questions on any of those things?
I just have a kind of broader overview. You mentioned the one group that went in receivership. There's 20 facilities.
They have 80 homes.
Yeah.
All 80 of them have been put into bankruptcy, and 21 of them are in receivership.
Okay. And you said that there's one here locally that's going through the same thing. Is for those folks that are being put out of those homes, are there beds available that they're moving into?
So receivership doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to have to close their doors, but what it means is like, all right, so in the case of the large group, one of the banks that was the lender called all their loans because they owed like $51 million in loans and stuff.
Right.
So the state of Illinois then comes in and they put a new company in to run the facility, and it's called receivership, and they tell you, you're no longer running it.
Okay, so they're not locking the doors and.
No,
Okay.
that could be what happens as we move down the road, but in the immediacy, it's a new operator.
Okay.
So in the case that I'm breaking down for you, Tutera, which is a medium-sized group, took over 9 of the homes, and then there was other groups that took over some of the other ones. So it kind of gets spread out,
Yeah.
and then it's the receiver then that decides next steps.
Okay.
So whether we close, whether we sell, whether it's a new management company, whatever the case may be.
And I don't want to get too deep into
Yep.
it, but just want to understand, is that an Illinois problem? Is it a national problem, or is it a problem with the
Unfortunately, it's
organization?
national.
Okay.
And
And is it just being driven by costs? You mentioned COVID, I understand that. And the ones that were not on good footing prior to that. I mean, again, I don't want to get too deep into it because it,
cost is a lot of it.
yeah.
Staffing is driving the biggest part of it, because if you have to pay 3 times the cost of, at a staffing agency to staff that same shift,
Right.
it really starts eating into your margins.
Okay.
Quality tends to be a driver as well. Staffing and quality tend to go hand in hand. And you could be put in a receivership for a couple different reasons. One would be financial. 2 would be you have a very poor survey record. So something bad has happened now, and your survey history is showing you. There's a couple different reasons for that. There are facilities closing all over the country, and it all is being driven by your revenue coming in is not keeping up with the expenses that are going out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Basically, he had half of the question I want. What did, from the start of COVID to now, you were talking that, they're failing. What did we do right that they got wrong to make sure that we continue to do right?
The first thing we did right was we were on solid footing going into COVID. And having that financial reserve and that strength. So
Okay.
to Scott's credit, to Donna's credit, and to Glenda's credit before for Donna, we had enough to where we could ride that storm, right? And this whole Change Healthcare thing, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, there's a reason why we're not pulling the ripcord right now, because again, we have the reserves that have been strong. And that's why the financial tool that Scott's put together, the sustainability tool, is so important. Because we have to maintain that, because you never, I put it into an email to Scott and some others when we were talking about this cyber attack, and it's just, you just don't know what you don't know. Would I have ever thought that a cyber attack to a third-party billing source would impact our operation? No. I know now it would. So it's really, it all comes down to the revenue side of things. Heavy Medicaid dependent facilities that don't have the county offset, they're in real trouble right now. So, any other questions on that before I get into the Change Healthcare piece?
Could I just have one more piece to that, though?
Yeah.
So what did we do differently? Tom read the tea leaves back in January before COVID hit and said, you know what, something's bad is going to happen, and he actually bought a lot of the supplies that he needed, a lot of the PPE, the gloves, the masks, at market prices, and before everything went through the roof. So he stocked up. Now, that was a considerable savings. It didn't amount to, what these facilities are challenged with, but nonetheless, it's just that management, that leadership, that foresight, and I want to credit Tom with that.
I appreciate that, but we just got lucky.
Yeah, that was,
What
it
you
was
call
more than
luck.
luck, though, and the finances are really important. So I was at Riverside Foundation. We're not a county home, but we had a $500,000 line of credit that the board had wanted us to eliminate, and some of the more conservative members said, no, let's keep it. We had no idea COVID was going to hit, but if it hadn't been for that line of credit and the PPP grant that we got from the feds, we would have been close too. A lot of our peers did.
And it's going to be an interesting 12 months, because I think you're really, now that all that money's dried up, and the states come and try to take as much of that, what they gave us, back. Just one crazy example. So we got money for ARPA, and there was a clear, they took 80% had to be used on staff. 20% could be used for whatever, and there was certain things. So the way Valley High did it is we just said, look, we're going to take that 80% pool, we're going to divide it across the total number of employees that we have, because it had to be paid out in bonuses, and everybody takes an equal share, and that's how we paid it out. Now the state came back and they said, well, your administrator really didn't have frontline work during COVID, so we want his money back. The 4 people in the business office, we want their money back. And they're trying to take the money that they told us to give to the staff back because we weren't frontline workers. Well, that is actually false. I was a housekeeper. I was a dietary aide. Because we had to put people on the front line, I had to bolster the front line. My business office, they were trained to feed. Why should they not be included in what
Right.
we gave them? But that's the game we're playing right now with the state and the feds. So money that you already spent, and all these facilities already spent, now they're coming back and saying, we want that back, we want this back, you need to justify this more. It's a mess. when we were talking, I think last week or the week before, or not last month or the month before that, about audits, and audits, that's one of
Yeah.
the audits.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're not the only ones who applied it across the board like that, because everybody in an emergency is a frontline worker. You don't get to sit on your laurels in an office. That's not how it works.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just a tough time for a lot of facilities, and we're not experiencing that, and it's kind of a nice feeling to not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Change Healthcare real quick. So Change Healthcare is a national company. Well, they were. I have a feeling that they're not coming back, but they are what is called a clearinghouse. And the way billing works is we have a software called Matrix Care. We put all of our medical records, all of our information, all of our billing, census data goes into that software, which then we can bill all the different payer sources out there, Medicare, Medicaid, the insurance carriers, that kind of thing. The way it works is that Change Healthcare sits in the middle of all that, and we submit to Change Healthcare. They change the data in a format that is user-friendly, and then they send it off to Medicare or Medicaid or whoever your billing billing person is. They got hit with a cyber attack on February 21. Shut them down entirely. So that at that point, all your major medical records companies shut the links off to Change Healthcare to protect them from a cyber attack. So a couple key points before I get into what we're going to need to do going forward. No patient data was impacted, so that's key. So we're not talking about a HIPAA breach. We're not talking about anything that would require us to have to do notifications or anything like that. But what it did do is we have no ability at this point, nobody does, to bill Medicare and Medicaid directly, which means that we have no revenue coming in until this gets resolved, one way or another.
Snail mail them?
Well, they're not able to handle the snail mail anymore. So there are some workarounds that the business office is trying to establish. Some of that would be billing directly to the insurance company instead of going from the software from our medical records into the clearinghouse and across, going directly to them. That requires a whole new setup, whole new billing practices. I mean, it's a lot of work. We will start going down that road at a certain point here, and I'll tell you where our ripcord moment is in a minute. So what we did is we went and I sat down with my team and we figured out how much is going out right now, because keep in mind we have a construction project that we're paying construction workers at, so our expenses, monthly expenses right now are inflated due to that. So it kind of makes it a little bit worse. So we know exactly how much money is going out every month. We know how much we have in the bank, and that's why when you look at Glenda's report in the packet, it details the roll-off schedule for the next 6 months. That was done intentionally. We've talked with Donna. We've talked through kind of what may happen. So she has got the roll-off schedule. That is revenue coming in if we don't get the ability to start billing and bringing revenue in to refill. Keep in mind, we will eventually get paid one way or another. It's not like we're out the money. We're just not going to get it next week or the week after like we normally would. So we know that our ripcord month is June. If we do not see anything change with Change Healthcare, that was just a terrible way of putting the words together. If we don't see anything move with Change Healthcare by June, we're going to need to start making some tough decisions. Now, what does that mean? It means that we probably are going to have to pull back. So there's a $700,000 and a $1.1 million investment that comes due. We won't reinvest those. We'll hold those back if we have to, so that's more money coming in. There's a hardship provision that we could file for with Medicare and Medicaid if we need to. Right now, we're not going to do that. We wouldn't qualify for it right now. They look at our bank account and laugh at us. But this is a serious situation for long-term care. So I told you about the state of long-term care at the beginning to get to this point to tell you all of those facilities that were really kind of worried, now they're in deep trouble. Because if you're not running, so I'll give you an example. If you are a Medicare-based post-acute care facility, meaning that the only payer is Medicare or the Medicare replacement plans, you have no revenue coming in. We can still bill our private residents. So that's only about 17 or 18 of them right now, but that's still a little bit of revenue coming in every month. We still have some other, revenue that will be generated, but not enough to keep covering the about $600,000 that we're spending every month for payroll, food, supplies, and construction. So We're watching this very, very closely. It has kept me up a little bit. You know, when you ask me what keeps me up at night, this is one of those things because it just, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to predict. You know, after so many years of doing this, you kind of find patterns. Certain things happen. Okay, we know this is how the government's going to respond. This is how public health is going to respond. You know, this is really uncharted water. So all the cyber attack drills that we did 2-3 weeks ago, we never once considered that it could be a billing intermediary that gets hit, and what does that mean? So we're working through it. I've got emails that Teresa and Gloria are being included on, so they know kind of as the updates happen. And Scott, Donna, and I, we've kind of got a placeholder out there right now that if something hasn't changed by then, we need to sit down and talk with our investment people. So we're watching this very, very closely. You're going to hear about this in the news because it is such a big deal. I mean, the impact is national, so I mean, it's not going to be, you know, swept under the rug. But for now, I guess my biggest message is no resident impact, and just hang tight until I have an opportunity to kind of let the dust settle, figure out, we know where we're at now, but kind of what next steps look like. So my business office is working through this too, as far as what do we need to do to start establishing direct billing into each one of our insurance companies. And then more than likely what we'll do is we'll take the one that's got the largest resident population first, make an arrangement with them, and start billing them. And then as time goes on, if it looks like, hey, this Change Healthcare thing is going to stretch out even farther, then we go ahead and do the next one. Because there's contracts and things like that, there's a lot to get it set up than to just jump into it. So we're kind of trying to figure out what the best next, you know, step would be. Now, I made a comment that I don't think Change Healthcare is going to be around. I think, based on a call I was on Friday, Matrix Care, our electronic medical records platform, they kind of alluded to the fact that they're already talking to other clearinghouses. So what I think is going to happen, again, this is a new experience, but just trying to read the tea leaves, I think the medical records providers are going to contract with a new clearinghouse before this change thing gets resolved, and then we will have to contract with the new clearinghouse, no big deal, one of them, and then that will then get us to be able to bill out like before. So hang tight, plan for another update next month, and I will keep updating you guys until we reach a point of either conclusion or we know exactly what we're going to be doing going forward.
You've talked over the last year of audits, inspections,
Yep.
SNAP inspections, stupid things that they get you on. I remember you're getting real close to your billing, I think, or something that, you know, is any of this going to affect them, or will they understand that, hey, it wasn't us, it's you guys?
Nationally, this is very well known and very well talked about. So there's been a couple requests to CMS from the American Healthcare Association to figure out a way to get money flowing into facilities' hands while this gets worked through. One of the things that was thrown out is you take a 3-month average of what your payments to the facilities are, you cash flow that for now, and then reconcile it once this gets resolved. So I mean, there's potentially different ways that this gets resolved before we even get to our next meeting. But every day we get an update from our medical records company, and every day it's basically the same email, which is, we'll let you know when we know. So I don't have a whole lot that I can add to that.
But this isn't going to have any effect on them when they do their SNAP inspections,
Nah.
come in, you know, hey,
They don't care.
you know, you're not compliant because you haven't gotten this money. And,
No, we're good.
okay.
I don't really, for this body, there's nothing to worry about yet. June is the ripcord moment. That's when we are, if we have not seen payment by June, then we're in some trouble. But I think this will get resolved before then, because the groundswell of people that are in just real bad financial straits, if this thing stretches out a month, 2 months to 3 months, it's going to be huge. So I would imagine that the push at the federal level to get some type of resolution is pretty strong.
So great.
So any news from them, from Change Healthcare, on what they're doing
There's,
with their security?
yeah, they're very, their email is very bland. I mean, they're not telling you anything. At least they're willing to admit that it's a cyber issue, you know, but no. And I'm sure that their attorneys have told them that you don't say a word until we sort through this. So-
Legally, they have to tell you it's a cybersecurity
Yep.
breach, and have to tell you much more than that.
Nope, nope. I would love to know, who the actor is, but no. I got nothing more than that. So, more to come. If all of a sudden something really breaks one way or the other, I'll email you guys and let you know, so that way if you get, when this first happened, I reached out to Pete, like, I don't know if you'll ever get asked about this, but if you do, here's what it is, here's how it impacts us. So that way I'll keep you guys in the loop. That way if you get stopped by another county board member that says, hey, I heard that the hospital's got a problem with this, how's it affecting, our facility, you guys will at least have the current information. So if you don't hear anything from me, it's no new news. Otherwise, I'll update you as needed. Fair?
Sure, thank you. I wanted to make sure we had noted John Reiner entered at 154. Okay, yes, thank you. You were also going to talk, well,
Memory care's the last one, but I was gonna
Last.
give you guys a chance that if there's anything else financial you wanted to ask.
or anything on the administrative report that you want to address? All right, thank you.
All right, memory care.
Is anybody interested in pulling either 6-1 or 6-2 from our consent agenda?
I looked at it, I didn't.
Okay.
You wanna ask your question?
We basically, the question I had to him is like, all right, you've been here forever, why are we having to give the 15 grand, and it's for basically stupid rules that people make that haven't had to deal with stuff, and totally got it. It's about the front entrance that, oh my God, we gotta have a sprinkler out there in case it catches on fire. And that has to have antifreeze, rules that we gotta adhere to, so can't do nothing about it except
Couldn't have said it better myself.
please invoice the ones that mandated it.
I told you I can't do that part.
All right, so that was regarding 6-1's antifreeze loop. All right, well then, in that case, do we have a motion to accept the routine consent agenda?
I'll make it.
Kaminsky makes it. Board member Kaminsky makes it. Mike Shorten seconds it. Board member Mike Shorten. We'll do the same respect of both of you.
It don't bother me.
We'll do a roll call vote. Carl Kaminsky,
Yes.
Mike Shorten,
Yes.
John Reiner,
Yes.
Gloria Van Hoff,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so that is 5-0. I'm passing it. All right.
Real quick, let me
Yes.
answer a question that you asked me.
Yes.
That I thought you were gonna ask me when we did the resolution, which was, what was the total amount
Right.
for the budget for the linens for the year?
Yeah.
Our budget is 19,000. In fiscal year '23, we spent 17,300, and in fiscal year '22, 16,766. So it's just a natural growth in that one, and like I was explaining to you in the email,
Yes.
we tested the quality of the linens before we awarded the contracts, and I took one, picked up from one of our suppliers, and I just went like this, and was like, whack! It was a towel. Like, yep, that's out. But no,
Wow.
it-
On a sample.
it was on a sample. And it was, Becky and I were doing it, she's the person that I have doing a lot of our purchasing stuff here, and her eyes were huge, like, I can't believe they would even send that.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, no effort at all, just whoop, right apart. That would last us a month. So, and that was the one other thing just to note, that we don't go with the lowest cost vendor when it comes to linens, we go with the highest quality at the best price, because otherwise you're just replacing linen left and right, and it becomes a real pain in the shorts.
Your final one you decided on, did you take the quarter out of your pocket and throw it on the bed, see if it bounced?
No, but we did run it through the paces.
Okay.
Yeah, some of that stuff, like, we tried placemats at one point in time, send them through the wash a couple of times, they come back curled up, okay, those are out. I mean, we run it through the paces before we put it out there, because the residents are very tough critics.
Quarter's the best.
I don't have that military experience.
Or a quarter.
I wasn't gonna say that. So,
All right. We have no old business discussion items, so directors for the memory care unit.
all right, well, we are moving along. Thank you for the great weather, whoever's in control of that, because we've really not had to slow construction down at all. I'm gonna post some pictures, I was trying to do it before the meeting, but of the space with the additional space now has the roof on it. So the walls are down, you walk in, you get a feel for it now. Now you really can start to feel the space coming together. So we're at a couple big decision moments. So next month, I'm thinking it'll be next month. If not, it'll be May. You will get the resolution for the FF&E, which is furnitures, fixtures, and equipment. So today, we responded back to all the questions from the vendors. That bid's been on the street now for a couple weeks. That's the big one. That's like all of the different furniture, the bed closets, the bedside tables, the chairs, the common space. All of that stuff is in that bid. So that's a pretty big, the money's already been approved, but we still will run it through. The way we've always done large projects like that is, even though you guys approved the memory care project, we're going to bring that through as a separate resolution so you have a chance to weigh in and give some thoughts. So I expect the response to be done and evaluated before your next meeting, but it may push out to May depending on when we get everything in. So that is almost at its conclusion phase. We've started internal talks about a unit director and what that would look like. We had talked a little bit about maybe using the assistant director of nursing position, which is currently open, and sharing the responsibilities with the unit director and kind of making it one and the same. We can't do that. Because the facility itself is over 100 beds, the unit director can't have shared responsibilities. They have to be dedicated unit director to that unit. So we're going to kind of split that and go in two different directions. Not the end of the world, but it does change kind of who that person would be. Now, before we were thinking a high-level nurse leader. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be that. So Pete and I were talking a little bit before the meeting. Him and I are going to sit down, we'll say at the end of the month.
2 weeks from today.
Did you look?
Yeah.
2 weeks from today? I knew it was coming up.
19th.
And I'll kind of work through with him what we're thinking, and then we'll bring a resolution forward to you guys to approve adding the employees to the roster. So figure that about May. Then that gets approved in the May cycle. So June and July we start recruiting and have that person on board before we open in November. Well, before substantial completion in November. We won't open until 2025. But we are right on pace with all of that. So the other thing we've started talking a little bit about is a unit name. You can't just call it memory care. It just doesn't have a ring to it. So I'm going to throw the same challenge out to you guys that I threw out to my team, which is help me come up with a name. So if you have ideas, the Tom Burrows Memory Care Facility doesn't seem to ring well. I've been giving him such a hard time. We have a construction meeting every Tuesday, and last Tuesday I started throwing different names at him and all of them had Tom Burrows in there, a TB. He just shakes his head. I'm sure I drive him nuts. But in all honesty, having a name that we can market. So if you have any cool ideas, you come across something, please shoot me an email to put it into the running with that.
Being a new person on the board, no, I don't, but if I had to choose, for the 8-10 years that I've been coming with the county, I've seen the work that you've all been doing to push to have this, to have the memory unit. The only person that comes to mind is Dr. Yeltsin, but whoever was back then in that day pushing, Pete, you'll probably know, you've been around here forever and a day, that actually got this off the ground and got everybody on board would be one that I would definitely put in the running and consider.
Boy, that might be Chuck Wheeler.
It's hard to find one name.
It really is. I'm going back through in my head going, all right.
I know we had a team, and Chuck and Dr. Yeltsin, and
and Jeff Thorson was the first one who mentioned it to me.
Yeah, Jim Kennedy. I mean, there's a lot of names, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But if something strikes that you see it and it kind of relates back to memory care, shoot me an email, because what we're going to do is
it that started this? Valley High.
Oh my God, you're talking about 1880 something.
But who was the one that pushed it?
I might be able to find that out. I'll look into that. I'll definitely, just for the fun of doing the history
Did you
piece.
forget? Memory care.
Did you forget? That might be a good idea. Because that took a lot of time just to force.
Yeah, nothing unforgettable.
That's another name that,
Yeah.
yeah? Well, we'll definitely, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a person's name either. Like
Right.
the unit that I built, the facility I was at prior years ago, it was called Traditions. Now, thousands of facilities have now got Traditions as their name of their unit, so that is not a name I'm putting into the running in any way, shape, or form. But it doesn't have to be anything fancy either.
Right.
But we gotta have a name. So then, the goal here is in 2025, we're gonna change the sign out front, to get it to be, it'll say, Valley High Nursing and Rehab and Memory Care, and then we'll have the sign. But yeah, that's another good one too.
Good running names. Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you mentioned this at the QA meeting, it felt like looking for a name that's like an idea and not necessarily a person.
Yep.
Right, an idea that embodies what the memory care unit might bring for our nursing home, our nursing care.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all these names on a sheet, and we're gonna let the staff vote.
Yeah.
And let the
That sounds
residents.
like a whiteboard up.
We got a whiteboard in here, please?
No, settle down.
No, hang on a second. Have you seen Scott with,
Yes, I have.
I feel like anybody who has it, why were they at their meetings, right? I feel like,
Wow.
Tommy can do whiteboard.
He gets into it.
At one time, this is totally off topic, but I guess I'll do it anyways. At one point, you weren't there to do a whiteboard, and we had a fill-in who had a very hard time pulling it off.
That was just a couple
Scott is like,
months
be the
ago.
board, be the board.
Right.
Yeah, Scott
The
Turner.
markers didn't work for this person. It was very unfortunate.
Oh, no.
So, yes.
Well, I appreciate it.
I guess that's top.
at least you know you're needed.
Yes, yes.
But that's pretty much where we're at with the memory care update for now. We've got a lot of stuff going on, but everything is moving in the right direction, so.
All right. Okay. Any other comments on memory care unit? So for our future topics, we have that we're going to look at staff survey results. There might be a resolution for furnishings next month. Are there any other future topics that we want to put on the agenda?
Just keep the Change Healthcare on your agenda for now, and I'll keep bringing that until it's concluded.
Okay.
I would like to, I think we talked about this before, maybe, like in April or May, look at that case mix again. And Scott loves doing that, where
Right.
we can, with news on the funding that's available now, look at our case mix with what we have with Medicaid, Medicare, and private care, and up the Medicaid so that we can, maximize the money that we're getting for that.
Do you think you'll be ready for April?
I can certainly do my best. It's sometimes it's a work in progress. But
Right.
we'll certainly do our best. But as Tom mentioned a while back, I mean, when Medicare is billing, no, Medicaid is billing, it's a lot higher than it was. So I think it's probably a good topic of conversation at this point in time.
Yeah, even if it were May, but I think the sooner the better we look at this, because it means more money coming in.
Yep.
And it's a great time to take advantage of that.
Well, the only problem is we can't bill it.
Right.
I know.
Perhaps April will come together.
I can sell whatever you want me to, I can't do it.
Right, and perhaps
There's
April
gonna
will
be
come
more of that
together. We'll have
coming, too.
billing, we'll have
That's a shame.
financial tools.
It's scary.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
I do believe so. We did a cyber attack drill as a team here in the building, I don't know, maybe a month ago. And I have a staff member she's been with me from my prior facility. I've worked with her as my MDS care plan coordinator now for almost 20 years. And I went and I said, I'd really like you to attend this tabletop, because this was like select group of a couple people from each department. And her comment back to me was, I'm retiring in another couple of years. It's just, I'm like, no, that's the point. You're the only person left who's done this before computers. This isn't, a comment about your age. It's a comment about you have knowledge that is indispensable. And to have her sitting through that saying, well, 20 years ago, before this, we did it like this, we did it like, that was invaluable. We're losing all of the people that are not the digital natives in this. It was digitalized when I started, 20-something years ago. So it was good conversation. But yes, scary as hell.
Sounds like we gotta break out the yellow Dixon #2 pencils for you.
God, no.
All right, so we don't have an executive session, so we're looking for a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
There's first sit, Mike Short, second.